Ever notice how sometimes stores selling very similar things, like coffee shops or gas stations, tend to open right next to each other, even when there is plenty of space elsewhere? Hodeling's theory of spatial competition, often known as Hodeling's law, explains this phenomenon by suggesting that competitors in a given market will tend to locate themselves as close as possible to one another in order to maximize their share of the market. This theory was introduced by economist Harold Hodeling in a 1929 paper titled Stability in Competition. Hodeling used a simple model to illustrate his point. Imagine a linear city, or a street, where customers are evenly distributed along its entire length. If two ice cream vendors are the only sellers on the street, where should they set up shop? Initially, you might think they would spread out to cover the entire street, perhaps one at each quarter mark. However, Hodeling showed that each vendor has an incentive to move closer to the center to capture more customers from the other vendor's side. This strategic movement leads both competitors to eventually locate right next to each other, exactly in the middle of the street. This outcome is called the principle of minimum differentiation. The implications extend for beyond just physical location. Hodeling's law helps explain why competing products often have very similar features, why political parties tend to converge on centrist policies during elections, or why many fast food restaurants offer almost identical menu items. Customers incur a kind of transportation cost, whether it is actual travel time or the effort of choosing between slightly different options, and businesses aim to minimize this cost for the largest group of potential patrons. It is important to note that while this clustering is the stable market equilibrium, it is not always the most socially optimal outcome. From a consumer perspective, having vendors spread out would minimize the average distance customers need to travel. The theory highlights the difference between what is best for competing firms and what might be best for overall consumer convenience. Ultimately, Hodeling's theory provides a powerful framework for understanding competitive behavior, showing how the desire to capture a larger market share can drive businesses and other entities to offer highly similar products or services, creating intense rivalry in a centralized space.